Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's video I will talk about, as you guessed from the title, what I want and don't want in The Sims 5. As far as we know, Maxis and EA started The Sims 5 early development and there is a live next month, like on the 18th of October, and a lot of people think that they will announce The Sims 5 on this day, so I think it's time to try and hope that The Sims 5 will correct lots of The Sims 4's development mistakes. This video will be actually in two parts. This video will focus on the base game, which is, in my opinion, the most important aspect of a game and what Maxis kind of forgot for The Sims 4. The second one will be about DLCs and more. Those ideas are separated into different categories like worlds, build by mode, creative sim, and everything linked to live mode. Some ideas are more important than others. To help quote-unquote sorting them, I'll put a plumb bob of a different color to illustrate if this is something I really want or something I can play without. A red plumb bob means I'm okay with it being absent from the game. A green plumb bob is something I really want, and a platinum plumb bob is a must for me. This video will be a bit long, so grab a snack or do your laundry while listening to my wants and fears. Before really starting talking about the game, let's talk about what rumors we have at the moment about The Sims 5. Well, basically we kinda understood that they want to do another online game, just like they did with The Sims Online in the early 2000s, and maybe The Sims 5 will be this game. Personally, I wouldn't be against a game like The Sims Online, but not it being the main game. It being a spin-off. I fear that they will do just like The Sims 4. Start working on Sims 5 with the idea of it being online, teasing it, then a few months before release, scrapping everything, rushing the game's development to match the announced date, and release an unfinished game. Plus, I think The Sims 5 being online would mean no more DLCs as we know of today, but either a game you have to pay a monthly subscription to play, or a game you buy, then it's filled with microtransactions, or even a free-to-play game, which the recent news of The Sims 4 becoming free-to-play from next month, so the base game becoming free-to-play, but you still have to pay for DLCs, kind of reassure me, well, it's not reassuring, but of this idea that The Sims 5 would become a free-to-play filled with microtransactions. This linked with the kits, the overabundance of kits that we have had since last year. So this to me means that The Sims 5 will become like those games, a bit like mobile game when you think of it, because when you think of The Sims Mobile, for example, it's free to play, but it's easier to play the game with microtransactions. Everything is faster, and it's not the only case. Think of other mobile game like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Same, you can play without spending real money on it, but with events, with everything it faster, and there is this frustration of completion because without microtransactions, without using real money, every action takes longer in the game, so there is this frustration with timed event that you won't have everything. So I fear that The Sims 5 will become something like this. Plus, there was a hint that they want to do a cross-platform Sims game that also works on mobile phone, if I remember correctly. Well, they were looking for people who had experience in this. Also, this might be linked to The Sims 5 or another game that they want to do on the side. So, in my opinion, The Sims 5 should be offline. Well, to be honest, I would like it to be like all the computer games, no need to have Origin or Steam or whatever to play the game. And no need for an internet connection, except for features like the gallery. But other than that, I found it annoying that we have to have internet to play, cause let's be honest, this, so Origin, Steam, etc., was just to avoid piracy for computer games. But guess what? The Sims 4, as well as other games on those platforms, are still pirated, so pretty useless. Finally, it might be an unpopular opinion, but I hope they won't release the game on consoles. To me, The Sims as a main game with DLCs is more of something for the computer, as it requires lots of room, plus playing on console might feel weird. It's not as if you were moving your character with the joystick. Console players are also limited when it comes to mods and CC, well, they basically can't use it, which are mandatory to play, in my opinion. Not only in The Sims 4, I'm mainly a Sims 2 and 3 player, and I wouldn't see myself playing the game for a long period without mods. I'll talk more about consoles when I talk about spin-offs in my second video. Well, now that this long introduction is finished, let's get into the video. First, when it comes to starting a new save, I just want The Sims 5 to be like The Sims 3 and 4, when you can have multiple saves that you can copy, delete when you want, etc. It's kind of possible to do so in The Sims 2, but it requires duplicating a neighborhood, which is kind of tedious because then you have to use a software to change the name of all the files. So it's easier in The Sims 3 and 4, and I hope this will continue in The Sims 5. But just like in The Sims 3, when you start a new save, I don't want the game to force us to create a family like in The Sims 4. We should be able to play with premates right away, without creating a random scene that we don't want or won't play with. Or sometimes, I personally create saves just to build. Well, to try to build as much as I can, to test a few things without ruining anything on my actual saves. Now, let's talk about worlds, neighborhoods, cities, towns, call them as you want. I would like a full open world, just like in The Sims 3. I can understand that some people don't like it as it lags, especially when you play on fast mode or for several generations. But the problem is maybe that The Sims 3 worlds are a bit too big, and it was too ambitious for the time. In The Sims 4 they went for open neighborhoods, which, like a lot of things for this game, sounds good in theory but poorly executed. Yes, you can freely walk around your house, but why do we have to have a loading screen to see our next door neighbor or visit the local community lot? My hope will be a real open world, but the size of a Sims 4 neighborhood. Take for example one neighborhood of Willow Creek. The size is kind of satisfying, cause if you make all those fake houses, sceneries, whatever, playable, customizable, we'll actually have a decent amount of lots of room to play. Well, maybe a little bit bigger, but no need to be as giant as worlds in The Sims 3, just in between. Cause this is also a problem for me in The Sims 4, the inability to customize the neighborhood as we want. It feels like we're back in The Sims 1. We have a 2D map, and even The Sims 1 map looks better cause The Sims 4 map kinda look weird sometimes. So I'd like the possibility to put, move, remove lots as I like without restrictions. Just like in The Sims 2 and 3. Well, the only restriction in The Sims 2 was that you had to put a lot near a road, and well, basically for both it was a limitation of place, but still you could have 50 lots in one neighborhood or one world, when in The Sims 4 for one world, so not one neighborhood, like now we're used to 12 lots per world. It's not that much, so I hope we will be able to place as much lot as we can, so it will still be enough. And also being able to remodel the neighborhood as we want, like putting trees, bushes, billboards, decorations, etc. This leads us to another thing I really want, creating our own custom neighborhood. This was something we could do in The Sims 2 and 3. In The Sims 2, you have some templates already in the game to create your personal neighborhood, or if you're talented, you can create your own map with SimCity 4. Or if you're like me, you can download wonderful creations on Mod The Sims or elsewhere. Same can be said for The Sims 3. Although you have no templates already in the game, you must use the Create a World tool, which is a bit complex, so same, you can count on this talented community. What I like for The Sims 5 is a mix of both possibilities in those games. A Create a World tool or Create a Neighborhood tool to create one as we like, and some Maxis templates already in the game. As for worlds in the game, like shipped with the game when it's released, I think 2 worlds would be cool. So, of course, for these worlds, I would like lore. So I don't care if there are some already known families like Goth, Caliente. To me, if they are in the game, I hope they are true to themselves. If not, I don't care if any iconic family are not in the game. I prefer not them to be here or than being like in The Sims 4, but that's another thing. So I want lore and real lore, just like we had in The Sims 2 and 3. Cause in The Sims 4, just take Willow Creek for example, BFF household. First of all, they are not BFFs, they are just acquaintances. They barely know each other. Liberty and Summer are supposed to be in love or have a crush on Travis, but there's nothing. Same for the Pancake household. They're supposed to have a rough wedding. Well, they're supposed not to be so much in love together anymore, but that's still the case. They don't have any animosity toward each other. So then for worlds, as I said, I'd like 2 worlds because, for example, in The Sims 2 we had 3 worlds, Pleasant View, Strange Town, and Baronaville. In The Sims 3 we had only 1 world, Sunset Valley, although there was Riverview, which was free if you had a registered copy on Origin. And in The Sims 4 we had 2 worlds, Willow Creek and Oasis Spring, and also Newcrest now. But I think 2 worlds is the bare minimum. And for this, I'd like one quote-unquote normal world, just like we had Neighborhood 1 in The Sims 1, Pleasant View, Sunset Valley, Willow Creek, and for the other one I would like Sixam. Yes, I've always wanted to play the alien planet since The Sims 2. With being able to play as aliens, so aliens in the base game, I was really disappointed by Sixam in Get to Work, cause it's not a real world that you can live in. Well, it's a world that you can visit. There is like one lot that you can modify with cheat. Yeah, it was just a bit disappointing, and I hope that one day we'll have Sixam as a real world really fleshed out. So concerning traveling between worlds, this is something I kind of like in The Sims 4, something that we could do in The Sims 2 if you added subhoods like downtown, Blue Water Village, or if you like use other town as subhood, or if you created your own subhoods. But one thing I don't like either in The Sims 2 when I'm playing a neighborhood and in The Sims 4 is that there are always characters that are always here in every town. For The Sims 2, I don't know why Strange Town characters like Olive Spectre, Nervous Subject are always in all my community lot, whether I play in Veronaville, etc. And in The Sims 4, we have the infamous Nancy Langrab, Eliza Pancakes, who are always there, or Judith Worth. I hate her. She is always here. Like, I play, for example, a vampire in Forgotten Hollow, and she's here making a mess. So of course, as I said, I like that we are able to travel between worlds, unlike in The Sims 3 where you could move from a world to another, but it was definitive. You can't go back and forth from Sunset Valley to Starlight Shores, for example. No. But I would like residents, so playables and townies, to stay in their world unless they're considered travelers. So not every, for example, Willow Creek Sims would always be in other worlds every time. So they would be considered travelers, tourists, which implies a decent amount of playables and townies in a world, not just 3 families in one world. As we all know, build mode is the biggest asset in The Sims 4. As much as I love The Sims 2, I really hate building in this game. Everything was made easier, more fluid in the fourth installment. However, there are some lacking areas in The Sims 4 build mode that could be improved for the next game. First, in The Sims 5 base game, I want the build mode to be complete from the get-go, which means pools, half walls, basements, ponds, platforms, foundations, etc. in the base game. Before talking about new and improved things I'd want, I would like to talk about something that isn't The Sims but has a link with what I want, Tomb Raider level editor. If you know nothing about Tomb Raider, the level editor is a software that was given with Tomb Raider Chronicles in 2000, and it was basically the software the developers used to create levels in the game, with of course some textures, objects and animations already ready for us in it. The link with what I want is that although this thing is old, though new versions of this software were created by fans, there are some elements I like to see in the Sims build mode. First, let's talk about floor elevation and slopes. I love that in Tomb Raider level editor you can make elevations easily from the ground or from the ceiling. Also, if you click a few times on the tile, an arrow will appear, and if you elevate it, it won't form a quote-unquote square pillar or a platform, but a slope. It's something really basic and stupid, but something I always wanted in a build mode in The Sims. I'm not the biggest fan of the floor tools in The Sims, I must admit. For once, I don't like that something doesn't work with the grid. Another thing I like about this software is the ability to put different textures on one wall tile. Just like when we click Ctrl plus F to make quarter tiles for flooring, like those little triangles, I'd like something like that for walls. Not those little triangles, but squares. In Tomb Raider level editor, you can separate different areas of a wall tile, so it makes it easier to, for example, put brick on the bottom and stucco, wood, or whatever on the top. I know we have those kind of wall covering, but there aren't enough in my opinion, and sometimes the swatches aren't good together. There are other improvements for walls, in my opinion. First, wall heights. It's something that appeared in The Sims 4 and it was cool. My only complaint is that it's impossible to have two different wall heights on the same level. The height isn't my only complaint with the walls. The length and width could also be customizable. Instead of a wall piece being tied to the grid, we could make it the size we want, same for thickness. Cause it's so weird to me that a house with rock walls, a house with brick walls, and a house with stucco walls, for example, they all have the same thickness. And yes, this want partially comes after discovering Paralives 2 years ago. Sorry for those who don't like the comparisons between these two games. I will sometimes use Paralives as an illustration for things that should be improved in The Sims 5. Another thing teased by Paralives that I've been waiting for since The Sims 3 are curved walls. By watching some rabbit holes, I always wanted to create my own buildings with curved walls, which is something really common in architecture since antiquity. So, curved walls are now in The Sims 4, but they are messy and buggy. First of all, they work with this annoying room feature, so the customization of floors and walls is very limited. Then the ceilings are buggy, and when you put a rounded room upstairs to try and create a rounded gap balcony upstairs, well, it's no more rounded but an octagon. So my hopes are that curved walls in The Sims 4 as well as curved fences and curved platforms were just an attempt, and that they will correct and make them usable in The Sims 5. One last thing about walls, let us put walls as well as fences on the very end of each lot, especially fences, because it's so much a waste of space when you have to leave one tile. In The Sims 2 we could put fences at the very end. We can't put walls at the very end, but I wish that we could also put walls at the very end, but at least fences. Half walls that were a big improvement in The Sims 4. We finally had different half-full heights, but the trims look sometimes weird, so I like more trims in The Sims 5. Windows are another build object that needs some improvement. All windows should come in 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. I'm not talking about different sizes for different wall height, cause some windows are really good, but they are sometimes either too small or too big. Especially those on, small wall height that go from floor to ceiling, or the Moschino ones that are awesome. Yes, I mainly bought the Moschino stuff pack for the windows, I admit, but they sometimes look way too big. Also, some double windows are cool, but they should also come as simple window, or windows should be easily stackable or sectional, just like couches and wardrobes in Dream Home Decorator. Cause you can't resize windows in The Sims 4. Well, technically you can, but it looks really weird. The main problem with the lack of size is that I find it hard to find matching windows without using the same window over and over. Matching is an issue in the game in general. This is why I think everything should come in a kind of bundle. By that I mean a door should always have a matching double door, an arch, and a double arch. Also, more arches please, those in The Sims 4 are not enough, so it also should have matching windows. Window doors should have matching windows, which sounds logical. Stairs should have matching staircases, rails, fences. Fences should have matching gates, unless there are those very small decorative ones, so they don't need the gates. I find it weird that in The Sims 4 there are some fences that don't have gates linked to them. And they also should have matching columns. Columns should have matching spandrels, which are an amazing new thing in The Sims 4, but there are so few of them. Like, why aren't there metal ones, for example? And more columns in general, as well as spandrels. There is a lack of columns in my opinion. And they also shouldn't be linked to the grid. We should be able to place them freely or with the Alt key. Friezes were as well a great architectural addition. Well, they were there in The Sims 2 as a decorative object that you would put one by one, yet there were so few of them, and it's the same for The Sims 4, there are so few of them, and I don't like that they work linked to a room, cause sometimes it's weird there are friezes that appear inside. I think we should be able to place them one by one or by room if for some people it's too tedious, but we should be able to delete one segment one by one. For stairs, I've already talked a bit about stairs, but we need more shapes. Diagonal stairs, curved stairs, spiral stairs. Even some of these that come from The Sims 3 on the Wii or Xbox, I'm not really sure. Being able to put rails in just one side, like come on Sims 4, this looks ugly and weird. And being able to put stairs in pools would be very awesome and most of all realistic. Talking about pools, I like the possibility to create a pool with different depth in it, like a mini pool for children just to play, or a very deep Olympic pool just to swim. Also curved pool. Where are you in The Sims 4? Another thing missing in The Sims 4 is the ceiling. Well, technically there is a wide and customizable ceiling that some sim guru know we want to customize but don't understand why, so that's why we don't have it yet. Create a roof should stay as easy as it is, but please let us paint roof's wall tiles separately again. Also, there should be more swatches and patterns for roofs, especially glass to make greenhouses. Oh, talking about this, glass walls like in The Sims 2 Seasons would be a great thing too, or matching glass roofs and windows to create the illusion of a greenhouse. Another thing I'd like for the roof is gutters, and especially usable gutters to gather the rain. Yes, you understood well, meaning weather in the base game, but we'll talk about it later. And please, like in the previous games, let us delete one single floor tile at a time, and not the whole room floor. That room system is handy. Well, personally, I don't use it. I just use the move lot or move the house, but never move a room by itself. But it's so annoying for other things like this. and I already talked about it for friezes or for the curved walls. I think the room system could be something we could toggle on and off, because some people might like it, so they would toggle on, and some people don't like it like me, so would toggle this off. And also let us have more than a full story building like we could in previous games. And also for these tall buildings, let us have more than one elevator per building, which also means elevator in the base game, because I will say this a lot in this video, but elevators are not a new thing, so they shouldn't be a thing for an expansion pack, they should be in the base game. This part will be a bit shorter, I swear. As far as I know, I'm quite satisfied with the Sims 4 buy mode, if we forget that nothing match. So this is why creative style should come back. Nonetheless, I like a much more simplistic creative style, cause let's be honest, the one in Sims 3 is sometimes overwhelming and can make the game lag for some people. So my ideal creative style will have some patterns so we could make object match, especially woods. And for the color, I think the color wheel is a bit too much. I understand how hard it must be for the developers to make sure every single object can be colored by it, by every color that we can create. Well, to me it sounds hard. So a selection of colors like we also had in the Sim 3, like, I don't know, 30 colors, different colors, would be a great start. What I also like about creative style is that we can recolor only one part of an object, just like we could choose separately the frame and the covers for beds in The Sims 2. Other than creative style, when it comes to buy mode, I want different style of objects, modern, classic, ancients, etc. Lots and lots of clutter, and sculptures. We need more sculptures. So for the art style of the game, I don't really have any expectation or defined wish. I know what I don't want. Especially, I don't want the cartoony style of The Sims 4, like the clay hair. In general, I'm not a big fan of the whole cartoony style, but I'm also not a fan of The Sims 3 Sims themselves. The scenery, environment, etc. in The Sims 3 is beautiful. If I would define the art style, I think the whole scenery, etc. of The Sims 3 for the game, so all the environment, all the buildings, etc. in the style of The Sims 3. But for the Sims themselves, I don't like really realistic Sims like Alpha CC, but I don't like the cartoony style of The Sims 4. I don't like the potato style of The Sims 3. So maybe a very improved Sims 2 style, because I think Sims 2 are the ones who look better, especially with some cities, some default replacements. This or the Sims 3 promotional pictures or Sims Medieval, who look better than the Sims in the actual game. So yeah, for the art style, as long as it's not hyper realistic like Alpha CC and it's not super cartoony, I think I would be okay. But to me, art style, graphics isn't what I'm looking for the most in the game. Gameplay is more important. Again, something that was well done in The Sims 4 but could use some upgrade. The modeling of our sim is awesome, and to be even better, it should let us go into more details. First, asymmetry. No one has symmetrical features, making one eye bigger, one foot larger than ears, which are the less customizable feature in The Sims 4. We should be able to make pointy ears or different kind of ears, same them being asymmetrical. Asymmetry and symmetry could be also a feature that you toggle on or off. So for example, if you toggle symmetry on, when you change the left cheek, the right cheek would also change. But if you toggle it off, you would, for example, change left eye, but the right eye would not change. Sims height is something that the community has been asking for a very long time, and I agree with them. Creating Sims with disabilities should also be in The Sims 5, like creating Sims in wheelchairs or using crutches. This linked to my idea of slopes that are easier to make, so you could use them to replace stairs because sometimes you can't put elevators, especially outdoors. The ability to also create blind, deaf, or mute Sims. I feel like the Sims as a game and as a character creation are getting more and more diverse with, for example, the gender customization, the whole pronoun update, and I feel like it should keep going, and I think that everyone deserves to feel represented. So I hope that in Sims 5 there would be even more diversity in creative sim. Just like in buy mode, I'd like a simplistic creative style so we could make the clothes matte, have some selection of patterns, for example, for clothes, and have some more variety for hair colors, just like in Sim 3, being able to choose the color for roots, length, tips, and highlight. For clothes, make them good on every body frame, and different clothes for all ages as well as hairstyle. And when I say different, I mean clothes only for teens, some only for young adults and adults, and some only for elders, cause the townies are playable wearing the same clothes from teens to the grave is a bit unrealistic. A cool feature that was in The Sims 2 on the PlayStation 2 was the ability to put and remove a jacket, so I hope we'll have a system like this in The Sims 5 where the jacket isn't a section anymore, like it's a jacket but with a certain shirt, but we could select a shirt and then decide to put a jacket or not, and of course different type of jacket. And this is also something that was teased in Paralives. Body hair should be in the base game, no need to wait for 8 years. And for body hair, I hope they would do the same with the shaving system in high school years, with facial hair and body hair growing still same. I think that we could toggle on and off. Now, for the main problem with The Sims in The Sims 4, personality. First of all, 5 traits for adults. I still can't fathom how a child in The Sims 3 has more personality than an adult in The Sims 4. I also liked The Sims 2 point system because Sims really had personality. Grouchy Sims being assholes, kicking your trash can when passing by even if you're not enemy with them, or stealing your newspaper with making a really mischievous laugh like before stealing it. Sloppy Sims would make a mess more easily, etc. And they all would react differently to social interactions. Shy Sims being really shy and not at ease in social interactions such as being complimented, meanwhile outgoing Sim being really proud. With all that being said, I also like the Sim 3 traits system, so I like a mix of both traits but with a nuance, cause a slob could just be a bit of a slob or a total pig. Same with neat Sims. Some just like things a bit tidy, and some are really neat freaks, can't stand one bite of dust. When they go out of bed, they do their bed immediately. So what I mean is that the trait would have 3 degrees of intensity: a little, medium, and extreme. I know this could be weird for some traits, like the constant art trait in The Sims 3, but it could be a sim that would dislike art but wouldn't mind being around as long as you don't tell them to view it or to visit a museum. And some would be angry at the mere sight of an artwork and throw tantrums. Yeah, I know it sounds a bit stupid, but anyway, I hope you get my point of the whole personality thing being a mix of The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 system. And of course, in the base game, I would like lots of traits, and I want them to have an impact from the get-go. No need to wait for patch 1076 to have bookworm Sims enjoying reading, if you know what I mean. Now, for aspiration, well, for them as well, I would like them to be a mix of The Sims 2 and 3. Not a big to-do list, but a real dream your sim has to achieve. The Sims 4 had a good idea by putting categories like romance, knowledge, like in The Sims 2, although in The Sims 4 they bring nothing to the personality. Then we could choose directly the lifetime want, lifetime wish, whatever. In The Sims 2 it was randomized, so you would choose an aspiration and then in the game the lifetime wish would be randomized, but with cheats or mod you can change it, though it's kinda tedious, you have to roll again and again. But the aspiration, as I said, in The Sims 4 are done very poorly. The lifetime goal is a to-do list. The aspiration category, so knowledge, food, whatever, only gives a trait, but it doesn't really have an impact on the Sim's behavior, nor the personality. Astrological signs would be a good addition in The Sims 5 for a chemistry system, or just for fun, just say, I'm creating my sim self, I'm a tourist, so my sim self must be a tourist. One update that I liked in The Sims 4 is to create a sim through a story. It was really neat, cause it's unrealistic that all sim grown-ups can be created without skills, jobs, and the same amount of money. Yet, I would like to be able to change something in it, cause when your sim is created through this process, you can't change anything about their personality, nor the career, amount of money, and skills given. Now, let's talk about animals, because yes, animals are required in the base game. At least cats and dogs. And for the create a pet, so just like The Sims 4 being able to drag and pull with maybe less symmetry, that's all I have to say for animals when it comes to create them. I will talk more about them for the gameplay section. Now, let's talk about the big part, live mode. As much as I have lots of expectations and wants for the world, build by, create a sim, I am more a live mode player, not really a create a sim simmer nor a builder, though I became interested in building cause it's the main thing fun in The Sims 4 and also due to my architecture lessons. So of course, this part is really important and they should really look back to even The Sims 1 for the gameplay, was challenging but fun. As I have lots and lots of ideas for The Sims 5, I'll try my best to organize everything. First, The Sims 5 should give us good gameplay for all ages. Babies are probably the most boring life stage, but they deserve to be freed from their bassinet. I'd like a mix of The Sims 2 and 3 babies. Not burrito babies, but baby with diapers. What I like in The Sims 3, however, is that we can control baby. Well, at least see their needs, their personality, being able to select them. I would also include some Sims 4 interactions, like some social interaction, because I admit it has more social interaction with this object. Like in The Sims 3, babies should have 2 traits that could be determined whether the pregnancy went well, and if that's not the case, or partially, the traits and the intensity, as I talked about, would be random, or we could choose only one. And by traits, I mean real traits, not those only for babies and toddlers in The Sims 4. So I talked about the ability to choose trait whether the pregnancy went well or not, because I want more repercussions for things, and for all ages starting with pregnancy and birth. With babies, I like some object linked to them like bassinets, cribs, why not bottle fridges, and of course changing tables. Yes, what I'm about to say might bring back horrible memories, but I would like the bottles and the diapers to be clean after use, hence the want of a changing table. This was maybe annoying in The Sims 2 but so realistic and challenging, especially if you had twins or several babies and toddlers. And for the changing table, to make it even more annoying, we would have to also empty the bin that comes with the changing table, or it will become unusable, and your sim would put the diaper on the floor until the bin is emptied. And the ability to change baby clothes. Now, let's move on to toddlers. This life stage is really interesting because since The Sims 2, they had unique skills from potty training, learning how to walk and talk, to creativity, motor, imagination, etc. in The Sims 4. But these skills had no repercussion when the toddler grew up. Well, you might say that except the potty skill in The Sims 4, a high level in the other skills would mean an increased level for the children's skills. And I agree, it's a good thing, but not only good things should happen, bad things should also happen to toddlers who don't develop or partially their skills. By that, I mean that a child who wasn't potty trained, for example, also another parenthesis for potty training, just like in The Sims 2, it's annoying, but I would like to be able to empty the potty. So, for example, a toddler that wasn't potty trained might still be able to use the toilet, of course, when it's a child if asked to do, but if their bladder goes down, for a few days after they grow up, they might pee themselves because they weren't potty trained, so they don't have the instinct to go to the toilets. For children who didn't learn to talk, they might be misunderstood by others, and for those who didn't learn to walk, well, maybe be clumsy, like falling when running or missing a stair. I know I mostly talked about children for the toddlers category, but it's to show that although The Sims 2 put a bad memory of growing up badly, that is often there when a toddler didn't learn the skills, which means a low aspiration bar. Not learning the skill doesn't have any further repercussion. When it comes to objects, I'd like the same as for babies, with of course potty chairs, high chairs, though I never use them, it's annoying, they never eat when I put them on them, and beds. For bed and food, toddlers should also be taught to sleep in a bed as well as eating solid food. Same, something it's really unrealistic in a Sims 4. When they grow up from babies to toddler, they immediately can eat solid food and sleep in a bed. Even if it's a toddler bed, they should be able to do this only at a certain point of their life stage, like halfway through. They can eat solid food and sleep in the bed instead of a crib. I already talked a bit about children when I talked about consequences from them not growing up well. These repercussions could alter half of their life stage if they weren't potty trained, learn to walk and or talk, as I said previously. When it comes to gameplay, they should have a lot of activities, from toys to play with, drawing tables, normal size doll houses, the baking thing from The Sims 2, outdoor activities like swings, monkey bars, tree houses, and all kind of stuffs. They should even be able to play together, just like children in The Sims 2, playing catch, Mary Mac, Cops and Robbers, and all those games children used to play together when they weren't smartphones. Do I sound like a boomer? I'm only 22, by the way. I don't think children should have aspirations. They should be like in The Sims 3. So in The Sims 3, they would roll a want to declare a lifetime wish, lifetime want. I will talk about wants later. So they would want this want, and this would be impacted by either their traits or their experiences, like learning to play the guitar or the piano. Dancing for a long time, playing sport, reading would impact their lifetime want, and it would also reflect their personalities. Talking about traits, same as in The Sims 3, they would have 3 traits, and if they grow up well, you can choose as well as the intensity, and if they grow up badly, well, you understood, the game gives a random one. For education, private and boarding school should come back. Both should work like The Sims 2 private school, with the director coming to your household to dine and you have to impress him or her. But unlike The Sims 2, I don't think these kinds of schools should be free. Private ones should be quite expensive, as it is in real life, and boarding schools' fees should vary on the type of boarding school it is. Some after-school clubs should also be present in the base game, such as art clubs, music clubs, sport clubs, book clubs. You get the idea. And you could decide to follow your child there, so you would have them to do the action you want, or they would go there on their own and they will automatically do the action linked to their clubs. For example, if they are in a music club, they would automatically play an instrument or sing. If they're in a book club, they would automatically read. In a sport club, they would automatically play sport. So for teenagers, you get the spiel, they get one more trait, so 4, which is more than elders in The Sims 4. So wise those teens. And if they grow up well, they choose or you choose, and if not, then pray not to have a very rebellious teen. Cause I'd like teens to act like real teenagers, not mini adults like we see on American series or in The Sims 4. Okay, when we are teens, we feel like we are adults, etc., but trust me, we're not. Far from it, actually. For teens gameplay, well, The Sims 2 is a good base. They get to know themselves, want to experience love, have their first crush, their first kiss, they have acne, etc. Some would want to sneak out to see their friends and break the curfew, risking getting caught by the police. When it comes to school and after-school activities, well, same as the children. I won't belong on young adults and adults cause, well, they have been well treated since The Sims 1 and are still the one with the most activities, characteristics, etc. Teens who grow up get one more traits, so Sims will end their life with 5 traits. Elders. What can I say about them? The most boring life stage. No, I said it was baby, so the second most boring life stage. We are just waiting for them to die. Because there are so few activities to do. They were forgotten since their appearance in The Sims 2. They can basically throw an anniversary party for their wedding if they are married and their spouse is still alive. In The Sims 5, I hope we'll have more activities for them like bingo or other clubs for elders. To be honest, I don't really know what to wish for elders. Maybe more ugly, old-fashioned clothes like in Sims 2, walking cane, hearing and sight problems so they'd have some medical help. Just as I said in creating Sims with disabilities. So for example, hearing and sight problem could start appearing during elderhood, but they could appear earlier on. There are some people who wore glasses since they were children. So this is another thing that I like in The Sims 5, with glasses not being accessories anymore. Now that I finished talking about these life stages, let's talk about their lifespan. They should be customizable, just like in The Sims 3. In The Sims 4, we only have short, medium, and long lifespan, and it gives a certain number of days for each age, but you can't customize it. Meanwhile, in The Sims 3 and The Sims 2 with mods, you can change each life stage's lifespan. Let's say, for example, you hate adults, so you can make them last for 2 days, but love playing with babies. I don't know why you would, but let's say you can make their life stages up to 30 days or 15 days. Let's decrease it by half because 30 days may be too much. Well, it might cause a problem because every adult would grow up and die, so your baby would be taken by the social worker, but you get the idea. Being able to choose how long each life stage lasts, because not everyone likes to play all the life stages for a very long time. If you are curious and want to know my preferred lifespan, so what I do in The Sims 2 and 3, so I put babies for the shortest possible, toddlers for 4 days, children and teens 10 days each, young adults and adults 21 days each, and I don't care for elders. I usually lay it in the middle where it is. When I talked about growing up and consequences, some of you might have understood what else I want. Wants, fears, and aspiration meter from The Sims 2. In The Sims 2, wants were linked to the Sims aspiration. Romance Sims would basically want to kiss and woohoo anybody. Knowledge Sim would want to learn new skills. Family Sims getting married, having children, etc. They are really better than The Sims 4's whims or wants now, but to me they tried to improve that by replacing whims with wants, but it's still not as good as The Sims 2. What I like about The Sims 2 system compared to Sims 3 and 4 is that we also have fears. Well, technically we also have fears now in The Sims 4, but they are not really fears linked to the Sims personality. Like every Sim can have all those fears, and there are like a very small number of fears in The Sims 4, whereas in The Sims 2, just like wants, there are some wants and fears that like every Sim can experience, but there are some fears, just like wants, that are only for some aspirations. For example, a romance Sim would fear getting rejected for any romantic approaches like kissing, flirting, etc. Family Sims would fear getting rejected for engagement or being left at the altar. Knowledge Sim fearing losing any skill point. So fears and aspiration are really linked. And in The Sims 2, what I also like is that there is an aspiration bar, so it can go up to platinum, so your Sims will basically be happy no matter what their needs are, but feed them, okay? But if you don't realize their wants, and if you realize lots of their fears, they will go in what we call aspiration failure. A therapist would then appear to raise their mood a little bit. Moodlets in The Sims 3 kinda impacted the Sims mood, but not as much as fears and the negative aspiration score. And in The Sims 4 we have emotions, which are not that good. To be honest, I don't want emotions back in The Sims 5. To me, The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 without any emotions had more personality than The Sims 4. Like, Sims could be sad, etc. without having the sad moodlet, and they were really sad. They were really angry. When they were angry for days. For example, when they were cheating on, they were sad for days when someone would have died or when they would have been demoted or things like that. So to be honest, I don't want to see the emotion systems back, if that means that Sims would have personality. So let's go back to aspiration. Another thing I'd like is when a sim grows up well, like a teen grows up well to an adult, we could have like another want slot or the ability to lock more than one want. So this idea comes from the Sims 2 Discovery University. So basically, if you graduate the first year of university, you have one more want slot. If you graduate the third year, I think you can lock two wants or two fears, one want, one fears. If you graduate university, so 4 years, you have 6 wants. And on the other hand, if you fail at university and you are a dropout, you are expelled from university, you have one more fear slot. So this could be also a repercussion. If a teen grows up badly to a young adult, they will have another fear slot. And for the number of wants and fear, I would like it to be like in The Sims 2, 4 wants and 3 fears. I've been talking a lot about growing up well or badly, and if you never played The Sims 2, you might be lost. Basically, in The Sims 2, if the sim grows up with a positive aspiration meter, it counts as growing up well. If it's negative, it's badly. As I said when talking about babies, The Sims 3 kinda did the same but with pregnancy. So making sure the mother's needs are good, she's in a good environment, and both parents are reading a pregnancy book would end up in a good pregnancy. Then for toddlers, if they learn their skills, they grow up well. But for this, I prefer The Sims 2 one for after the pregnancy because it's more straightforward. And all of this, growing up well, badly, etc., is also linked to another thing in The Sims 2 that I miss, memories. Well, technically there are memories in The Sims 3 and 4. You can check Pleasant Sims' video on the subject because she would explain it way better than I would do. But to sum up, in The Sims 2 there were memories for a lot of things. There were automatic memories. In The Sims 4, memories are linked to screenshots and they are not really personal to a sim. In The Sims 2 you had a panel with all your memories so you could go and check a pre-made and see what was happening. Or if you're like me and you're playing a neighborhood or lots and lots of families, when you go back to a sim, you can go check their memories to say, oh, that's right, this sim woohooed with this sim is friend with this sim lost a fight with this sim was left at the altar by this sim. Memories should really come back and should be easy, just like in The Sims 2, automatic memories for important things, unlike the Sim 3 memories went to depart for the first time. Yeah, cool. I don't care. There are some elements from all the games, whether absent or present in The Sims 4 that I like back in The Sims 5. First, the ones still present, mailboxes and bins. For the first one, no need for a big change, still a mail delivery person carrying bills, letters, etc. For the bins, though, I mean the exterior one, like those in The Sims 2 that you can't move without move object and you can't empty the one that is outside, I would like them to be emptied by a garbage collector. You would empty your interior bins, just like in other game, but every once in a while, once or twice a week, someone will come and collect your garbage. And of course, just as I said with changing table bin, this outdoor bin wouldn't have unlimited space. Sometimes you would have to wait for the worker to come and empty the bin to empty your trash can. Of course, the garbage collector would come with vehicle, cause in The Sims 5, cars and other vehicles must come back. Whether it's ownable cars, carpools, vehicles for NPCs, school buses, bikes, motorcycles, they must be in the base game from the get-go. I don't have to explain myself. Vehicles aren't something new in the Sims franchise, and whether the world is open as I'd like or not, cars can still work. Thank you. Cars were there in The Sims 1, and The Sims 1 was very closed. There were still carpools. In The Sims 2 Nightlife, we had ownable cars, and it was still a closed world. And for the cars in The Sims 5, I admit I would like cars like in The Sims 2 with animation. When you open the door, you don't just teleport inside the car. Two other missing things in The Sims 4 I want back are telephones and newspapers. Not everyone has or uses them in real life, but some still do. I don't like that every sim has a cell phone. It's not realistic at all. when they grow up from toddler, like immediately everyone has a cell phone, and now with the update, like they are always checking on their cell phone. It was already annoying, now it's even worse. They should be able to buy them just like regular phones. And for landline phones, same. I know not everyone uses them in real life, but for example, my father still has one. We use our cell phones, we still use a landline phone sometimes. I think landline phones should come back. The same can be said for newspaper. Personally, I don't have one. Well, in France, there isn't this thing like the child that is on his bike and throws newspaper at everyone's doorstep. There are newspapers in France, but it's not like this. But this newspaper, like carried every day at the doorstep, is iconic, I think, in the Sims franchise. Now, let's talk about buildings in the town. As I said, in the world section, I don't want any fake building to make the town look bigger when it's just wasted space for real lots. But as I said, if it's decorative fake buildings, just like in a Sims 2 with those flats that we could put, but if we can remove them, I'm okay. If we think open worlds, we think of the Sims 3, then we think of rabbit holes. I have nothing against rabbit holes per se, but yeah, I like following my Sims in places like shops. For these, I really want the retail systems from The Sims 2 in the base game, whether it's to own a business or just visit one. Well, this was a thing in The Sims 2 base game, going into a shop, and since The Sims 1 hot date, I think, for shops at like clothes shops, grocery stores, video game shop, bookshops, etc. No need to be in details. For example, in a grocery store, like every fruit, meat, etc. on a display, but rather in racks, just like in The Sims 2. Then it opens a menu like in The Sims 3, so we get different ingredients and we follow our Sim in the shop. Same would apply for books. We would select a bookcase and select what book we want to buy. For video games, I like that in The Sims 2, you had to buy different games to play on consoles and computers. In The Sims 4, you unlock different games when you improve your video game skill, which, in a sense, is logical, I agree. But just like recipes and music sheets in The Sims 3, I'd like to be able to buy the games, and my Sim would only be able to play when they have a certain level. For example, be at least level 6 to play The Sims 1. Well, level 6 is a bit too low, I think, for this game. I think it requires level 10. And of course, they would unlock some video games just like they unlock recipes when gaining a level in video game, but some video game would be locked until both. Other rabbit holes from The Sims 3, like hospitals, police station, criminal hideouts, etc., should also be opened, and it would mean active careers in the base game. When you think of it, active careers were low-key added with The Sims Superstar, where you have to go to Studio Town to actively make your Sim a celebrity. Then in The Sims 2, open for business, you would run your shop. And finally, in The Sims 3, ambition and showtime came what we now define as active careers or professions. And there were a lot in The Sims 3 ambition alone. There was architectural designer, firefighter, ghostbuster, detective, stylist. I think I've said them all. And in showtime, we had singer, acrobats, and magician. Active careers came back in The Sims 4. We get to work with only 3 careers: doctor, inspector, and scientist, plus the retail store. Then some came with other packs like being able to own a restaurant in Dine Out, actor in Get Famous, paranormal investigator in Paranormal Stuff Pack, interior designer in Dream Home Decorator. They were a fresh idea, especially in ambition, but now they deserve to be in the base game. Well, not all of them, but the most useful, like doctors, scientists, criminal, policemen, and firefighter. Though I tend to prefer The Sims 3's active careers, because I love to follow all of my Sims, because when you follow your Sim in your active career in The Sims 4, you leave the rest of the household, and I like to control things, so I can't control them. I can't say you are going to do this. No, they are on their own. But what I like about The Sims 4 is that you can decide to send them on their own, cause as much as I like active careers, doing the same thing every day is annoying. Though it's easier in The Sims 4 because they're just going into a rabbit hole, and as I said, I don't want too much rabbit hole in The Sims 5. So for this, I think the careers building, so as I said, criminal hideouts, for example, a hospital, there should be a room that works like a rabbit hole. So our Sim go in there and work by themselves, just like normal careers like business, journalism, education, etc. And this idea of a room having a rabbit hole function comes from a mode in The Sims 3, so you can basically create your own rabbit hole, making it look usable, but you have to put a rug in a room and the room acts like the rabbit hole, so you can create all the exterior, you don't have to put the object rabbit hole. I hope there will be something like that in The Sims 5. Another building I think should be back is The Sims 2 apartments. Yes, there are apartments in The Sims 3 Late Night and in The Sims 4 City Living and Eco Lifestyle, but they are bad. Okay, those in The Sims 2 can be buggy, but you don't have to have a loading screen to see your neighbors. Oh my, what is this witchcraft? My Sims can go see their neighbor directly. In The Sims 2, that game known for long loading screens. Anyway, this is not the only thing I love about those apartments. There can be any shape of apartments, not just tall and customizable buildings. Yeah, I'm not too keen on the big city lifestyle, I admit. In The Sims 2 with cheats, you can create your own apartments. Yes, once it's done, you can't change the exterior anymore, or you have to rezone it to residential, meaning evicting everyone if there are people living in there. But still, you can make it as you like. And although only 4 households, like playable households, can inhabit one lot, if you create more than 4 apartments in one lot, townies can still reside in the empty apartment, making the building or all the apartment lots lively. A bit too much sometimes. I'd like also to be able to buy more than one residential lot and own community lot once more, just like we could do in The Sims 3. A smaller thing that still needs to be addressed is skills. I don't like that in The Sims 4 we start at level 1 instead of 0. I get that it's to see the skill directly, as in The Sims 3 you don't see the skill until your sim has at least level 1, but it could still appear with a 0 level. Another thing I miss are skill challenges from The Sims 3 and I want them back. I found them really interesting, and when you had completed a skill I really like to, do those challenges that would give more life and more things to do in the game. When it comes to skill, I like that since The Sims 3, the creativity skill became focused on music instruments, painting, sculpting. Where are you in The Sims 4? Now, in addition to cooking, there is gourmet cooking, there is baking, but I like other Sims 1 and Sims 2 skills, those basic ones, to be expanded, like the body and logic skills. Just like creativity with different instruments, the athletic skill could disappear to make new skills like jogging, basketball, etc. They kinda studied with snowy escape, with skiing, snowboarding, and most of all rock climbing. For logic, well, why not chess skill, a stargazing skill, and more puzzle kind of like Rubik cubes that are linked to logic but they are their own skills. Yeah, I don't know for logic. Now let's put it straight. Some people don't seem to know what NPC really means. No, Bella Goth, Bob Pancakes or whatever neighbor is not an NPC, which stands for non-playable character. And as far as I know, we can play them. In fact, what The Sims likes nowadays is real NPCs. For example, bartenders, waiters that aren't just random townies or neighbors. In The Sims 1 and 2, there were Sims whose role was to be mail deliverer, barmen, burglars, cops, maids, etc. And in The Sims 2, if one was made playable, another one would be generated to replace them. I would understand that another pre-made or townie would be a barista or a waiter if it were the job, but it's not the case at all. It's not as if we could be waiters in our own restaurant anyway. So The Sims 5 should bring back NPCs, and some that disappeared. I referred several times to burglars who terrified some simmers, as myself. As I said, this, with the policeman careers, could be active, it will be fun. Social workers also are missing in The Sims 4. When you adopt a human, you go to a rabbit hole to take it, and when the child is mistreated, it just disappears. I just hope that the social worker who terrified me as a child would come back. Yeah, I didn't know how to take care of more than one sim sometime. Now let's talk about more special NPCs. For the Grim Reaper, I hope they would stop making it cartoony, cause it was scary in The Sims 1 and 2. We would really see bones, we would really see that it's dead. Now it's more or less cartoony, so I would like to see Exterminator back, cause I would like to see the cockroaches back. So in The Sims 2, if your trash can was kicked and you would let the rubbish on the floor for a long time, then cockroaches would appear. Your sim could try and spray them or stomp them, but it would sometimes result in them having the flu. So you could call an exterminator, which would come and exterminate the roaches for you. The social bunny is an NPC that would come if your social needs would go down. You could basically do any social interaction with it except the romantic ones, and it would disappear when your sim would have their social need filled up to at least half of it. And it was basically an imaginary friend, so other sims, if you would control other sims, the social bunny would disappear, so other sims couldn't see it and they would think that the sim is crazy, their other sim is talking by themselves. Another NPC that also works like that, that only the sim concerned can see, is the shrink or the psychiatrist. So I've already talked about him for the aspiration failure, so same, only the sim in aspiration failure can see him. I mentioned it a bit earlier when I talked about roofs and gutter, but to me seasons and weather must be in the base game. I still don't get why we must pay to have such basic things. Weather, if you didn't know, was initially planned for the base game of The Sims 2, but due to technical issues that was postponed, and it was introduced later in The Sims 2 Seasons. This expansion pack introduced weather in The Sims franchise. Then Seasons was also a DLC in both Sims 3 and 4, adding cool features such as festivals, holidays, and calendars with the ability to create and custom your own holidays in The Sims 4. But still, weather and seasons are just part of daily life in the real life, and should be in the base game. However, let's not be greedy, let's not ask Maxis too much. When it comes to holidays, I have another idea that I will explain more on my second video. I'd be happy enough with just basic weather and season changing in the base game. There are some features linked to the weather that I like to see with windows. I would love the windows to be usable a bit like we saw with the sneak out interaction in high school years, but it would be just to open or close the window when it's hot or cold, with it having repercussions. If, for example, it's cold outside and the window is open, the temperature inside will drop. Meanwhile, if it's hot inside and the window is closed, Sims might start being hot. I would like something similar with blinds, curtains, and shutters that could be closed when the sun is blazing outside, so these poor Sims don't die because of a heat wave. And of course it would alternate the inside lighting, and then they could open it. Same. Curtains have been in the Sims franchise since The Sims 2, I guess, and they were never usable. They were just a decoration, and I hope that in The Sims 5 they will be more useful. So I talked about season, and now let's talk about pets. That, as I said in the creative sim part, cats, dogs, and why not rodents, rabbits, small animals like that, are also things that should be in a live simulation without being an add-on. Cats and dogs to me are the bare minimum in the base game, and I like to be able to control them like in The Sims 3, or at least, just like in The Sims 2, being able to select them and see their needs, their personality, their memories. Yes, in The Sims 2, pets had memories, see their relationships, and another thing with animals from The Sims 2 I like back, pet careers. So in The Sims 2, yes, pets could have careers. There were 3 pets careers in The Sims 2. Service, security, and showbiz. So it would actually give our pets something to do during the day, and it will bring money, so I hope this would come back. Lastly, another detail that I want to talk about is the UI. I would like the UI to be closer to The Sims 2 and 3, especially when it comes to the queue of action. I don't like them being on the side, I'm used to them being at the top of the screen. Also, another thing that changed in The Sims 4 is when using the pie menu, there isn't the Sims head. I really loved it in other games, I find it very cute, and I hope it would come back. Now that I said all that, you might think, but with a game this complete, the base game might be expensive. And to that I'll answer that yes. Well, to be honest, no matter if the game is complete or not, it will be expensive. Now we are used to video game costing like 60, even 70 euros on the release. I wouldn't be surprised for the Sims 5 base game to be around 50, 60 euros if it's not a free-to-play, of course, which I hope it's not. I wouldn't be against paying 50 euros if the game is complete and innovative, fun to play, and that the DLCs aren't expensive and especially not numerous. It's finally the end of this long video. If you're still here, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. I'd like to know what you would like in a Sims 5, cause all of these were just my ideas, but maybe you disagree with things that I want, because I've watched lots of YouTubers video about reacting to unpopular opinions, and a lot of people, for example, don't want open world, cars, babies freed from the bassinets, etc. Let me know what you want. Maybe you'll bring some ideas I thought and forgot, or some real cool ideas I didn't even think about. I tried to make this video as complete as possible, and I'll see you later with another video.